Hi everyone, this is Jason from Metal Flesh. Today I'm going to try and rank the entire Virgin Steele discography, starting from Getting the Bean Tier all the way up to From Here to Eternity. Quite a lot of musically stylistic changes throughout each album, quite a lot of concept albums to go through, quite a lot of members in and out of the band, and then at later releases it just felt like a more of a solo project rather than a band effort. We're gonna kick things off with the debut album called Virgin Steele, or Virgin Steele 1. This one's a raw, energetic debut rooted in early US heavy metal and new wave of British heavy metal influences. The guitars are sharp and straightforward, the rhythms are punchy, and David DeFay already shows his dramatic vocal personality, which is rough around the edges. The songwriting leans towards street level heavy metal and hard rock rather than the mythological side, which Virgin Steele will incorporate in later releases. Highlights will be Children of the Storm and Virgin Steele. For me, this is a B tier. Guardians of the Flames followed in 1983. This is a heavier, darker, and more confident album. The riffs are stronger, the hooks are more memorable, and DeFay begins to incorporate more of his dramatic vocal pacing inside the songs. The production remains kind of raw, but it's still much better and improved than the debut album. This release feels tighter and more focused. It's a noticeable step forward than the debut, with sharper songwriting and cleaner production. Highlights will be Don't Say Goodbye and A Cry in the Night. For me, this is a solid A release. Noble Savage followed, which is a major leap in epic songwriting. The album blends aggression with melody and introduces the mythic atmosphere more clearly. The chorus is short, the guitar work is more expressive, and DeFay is just displaying his theatrical side. Highlights will be We Rule the Night and Noble Savage. For me, this is a From Here to Eternity release. Age of Consent followed after this, which is a polished and melodic with strong hooks and refined songwriting. The album balances accessibility with epic flair, slightly leaning towards melodic heavy metal rather than the grand concept drama. The production is clearer and more professional. Highlights will be On the Wings of Night and The Burning of Rome. For me, this is an A release. Life Among the Ruins followed this one. This one's a complete stylistic departure into bluesy hard rock and AOR territory. It just feels like this is the album where David DeFay is showcasing and is just showing off his vocal range. The only two songs I can actually pick here will be Love is Pain and Never Believed in Goodbye. For me, this is a C tier. The Marriage of Heaven and Hell Part 1 followed in 94. This is a monumental return into epic heavy metal with a massive compositions, mythological and spiritual themes layered in keyboards and dramatic pacing. The albums feel cinematic, grand and spiritually charged. Highlights will be I Will Come For You and Blood and Gasoline. This one is From Here to Eternity. Part 2 followed the following year. It's a direct continuation of the first release. This one, it just feels darker and more theatrical than part 1. comparing it to part one is slightly less, the compositions are not as good and it just feels less epic, and the compositions are slightly less concise. The highlights here will be Twilight of the Gods and Transfiguration. For me, this is a tier release. Invictus followed in 1998. This is a dark and tragic epic that feels almost operatic in scope. The riffs are heavier, the atmosphere more dramatic, and the storytelling is deeply immersive. This is the most Manowar Virgin Steele have ever sounded. It's not a bad thing. I absolutely love this album. Highlights will be Invictus and Through Blood and Fire. For me, this is a From Here to Eternity release. Then we've got another concept album that followed in 1999 and 2000. The House of Atreus, Act 1, which came out in 1999. This is a Greek tragedy brought to life through a layer of compositions and dramatic pacing. The album emphasizes atmosphere, orchestration, and storytelling. There are quite a lot of instrumentals here, like loads of 1 minute songs. This is an album that you have to listen to from the start to the finish, and it just demands your full attention. Highlights will be Through the Ring of Fire and Return of the King. For me, this is I'm just going to put it on a B tier. Part 2 followed in 2000. This continues the saga with emotional weight and mythological depth. The arrangements are expansive, and it just feels like overblown or overbloated comparing it to Act 1. This one contains even more instrumentals, even more songs that are like 1 or 2 minutes long. Highlights will be Flames of the Power and Resurrection Day. For me, this is another B tier release. 6 years later, in 2006, we see the release of Visions of Eden. This is a biblical concept album that blends symphonic drama with heavy riffs. It's quite a big concept, loads of atmosphere, and each song just feels like it's stretched a bit too much. The ideas are strong, the ideas are there, but the execution isn't that great. The production, it's absolutely pants on this one. This album had to be remixed. I believe the remix is called the Barbaric Remix, which kinda improved the overall album, but it still lacks that earlier fire of Virgin Steele. Highlights will be Immortal As Stand. I absolutely love that song, and also Black Light on Black. It's just a D tier. The next album came in 2010. It's called The Black Light Bacchanalia. I'm not sure if I pronounced this right, quite possibly not. This album is dark, theatrical, and sensual. The production is thick and layered, but the songwriting feels less sharp than the earlier epics. There is quite confusion in directions, and yeah, the songwriting isn't there. Highlights, I don't know, I'll have to pick 2 songs here. I'll go with the By the Hammer of Zeus and In a Dream of Fire. For me, this is a Get in the Bin release. Nocturnals of Hellfire and Damnation followed in 2015. Right, here we've got loads of wows and meowing from David DeFay. It gets a bit much after a while. As the album, It's heavy, gothic, and aggressive. There's production issues. The bass is just keyboards. The drums are like drum machine. We haven't got clarity or focus on the songwriting. It's just one big hot mess. Let's put it that way. Highlights, I can only pick one song here, which is Lucifer's Hammer. For me, this is another Get in the Bin release. Then we've got Seven Devils Moonshine. I believe this has like 3 CDs of new material and re-recording stuff and rarities and 2 best-ofs in there as well. Yeah, this is for me a Get in the Bin release. I cannot pick not even 2 songs here. I'm not going to pick up from the best-of because it's stuff that has already been released up here. From the new material, I cannot like actually pick anything up. Which brings us to 2023, the latest Virgin Steele release so far, which is The Passion of Dionysius. It's a mythological return with a renewed focus. While still dramatic and theatrical, the songwriting feels slightly better than the 2010 albums. You can hear some glimpses of their earlier epic spirit classics, but they're just spread sporadically here and there. It's as I stated, it's better than the previous releases from the last 3 albums, but it still lacks of direction and songwriting. Highlights, I'm just gonna pick 2 songs here. I Will Fear No Man, For I Am God, and To Bind and Kill a God. For me, this is like a D tier, like a low D tier. There you have it, the entire Virgin Steele discography, ranked from Get in the Bin all the way up to From Here to Eternity. Till next time, stay heavy.